Anyone can animate a button, right? Well, that's exactly what we're doing today. In this video, I'll walk you through animating a mouse click and a button press using simple keyframes and the scale property in Apple Motion. Alright, let's dive in. So here I have Motion open. My project is set to 24 frames per second. Let's check our properties. It's 1920 by 1080 and our frame rate is 24 frames per second. I've also went ahead and imported the PSD file. This was created in Affinity Designer. Unfortunately, some of the layers aren't editable. If you want editable layers, use Pixelmator to do your graphics, and if you want tutorials on graphic design, then you can follow me on my graphic design channel. Alright, let's dive into creating this animation here. So the very first thing we want to do is name our mouse layer. So let's go ahead, select it and change the name to mouse so we can easily find and identify it. So with our mouse now in the position where we want it to be, let's go ahead and add a keyframe. So let's go up to 1 second. And let's add a keyframe. And we're adding a keyframe on the position. Let's go back to the beginning of our project and we're gonna just position our mouse off screen. So we can simply click and drag to position it off screen. Now that we have two keyframes, you'll notice that we have two gray handles here. Once you click on a gray handle, you now have the Bezier lines that you can adjust by just clicking and dragging them, and this will adjust your animation curve. If you open the keyframe editor, you'll notice that as you adjust these Bezier lines, it adjusts the curves as well, those animation curves. Okay, let's loop our animation after a second. So let's go to maybe 1 second and 12 frames. Deselect our mouse and just click O. Ensure that the loop function is on. Let's hide our keyframe editor and let's play our animation to see what this section looks like. Okay, so it looks good so far. So now that we have this, let's go ahead and add our button click. And to do that, we're gonna go forward 1 frame and then we're gonna select our mouse icon again and we're gonna add a keyframe for scale. Let's go forward 1 frame. Let's add another keyframe for scale. And let's go forward 1 frame and add a final keyframe for scale. So on that middle keyframe, we're gonna change our scale from 100% to maybe something about 85. And let's play our animation now to see exactly what that looks like. So for me, I think the click happens a little bit too quickly here. So we're going to select our 3 keyframes by holding down shift, selecting them, and just clicking and dragging to create a little bit more space between when it lands and when the click finally happens. Okay, this is looking a little bit better. We could exaggerate the motion here by making it 2 frames. So a space of 2 frames and then another space of 2 frames. Let's select this final one and just drag it out. And we could also go ahead and change this middle keyframe from 85 to maybe something like 65, just to exaggerate the motion a bit. So we're going to take this a step further. We're going to add an additional done icon. However, we're going to invert the colors. So instead of having it in this color, we're going to animate the done icon and then we're going to also change the color. So in thinking about this animation, we also want to animate the button to actually show that, hey, this was clicked. So with our button selected, let's ensure that our anchor point is where it should be in the center. So now that we have our keyframe in the center, let's double click this to go back to our regular cursor tool, our regular move tool, and then let's name this our done button. Then we're going to line it up with our cursor click. So let's find back our cursor click here, and we're going to add a keyframe for scale at this exact position on our done button. So with the done button selected, let's go to scale. Let's go forward 2 frames Let's add another keyframe. Let's go forward another 2 frames. Let's add another keyframe. We're going to use this back keyframe button here to go back to our middle keyframe. And we're going to scale this down to also 65%, just to kind of match exactly what's going on here. Now let's go ahead and play our animation to see what it looks like. Perfect. Now finally, buttons normally have states. So let's actually change the state of this button on click. So what we're gonna do is create a secondary button for the state. So let's duplicate the shape here by hitting Command D. And then let's just say, let's keep the done button and then call this click. So what we're gonna do now is, instead of having simply just an outline, we're going to change from an outline to a fill. In order to do that, what we're really gonna do is just come here to a point where it's at 100%, and then we're going to go ahead and recreate that fill. So let's go here and just drag out our shape. We're also going to use our color picker tool to get the exact color right. Let's go ahead and click escape. And then for our done button, for this state, we're simply just going to add a filter, color, colorize, and change everything from a black to white. And then finally, let's place our rectangle layer that we just created below our text. We can go ahead and delete this second layer. And now we have 2 buttons. We have our done button and our done button clicked. So finally, seeing that we would have duplicated the button after we created the animation, all we need to do is go to the point where it was clicked and click I. Now we have our animation completed. So if you like this video, go ahead and click the like button and subscribe for tutorials just like this one. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next video.